The agent has left the building, automating intelligent replies to your customer inquiries. I'm Nathan Rose. I'm a Dynamics 365 CE functional consultant at Datacom. I work with Dynamics 365, the Power Platform, and Azure every day. And I am absolutely passionate about using the Power Platform to automate repetitive work and empower your people to better serve your customers and do more of what they love. Thanks so much for coming along to my session today. Before we get into the demo, the big idea of what I want to cover is that legacy technologies and business processes do not preclude you from leveraging the Power Platform to automate repetitive work. I'll say that again. Legacy technologies and business processes do not prevent you from automating repetitive work using the Power Platform to better serve your customers and empower your people to do more of what they love. We're going to be looking in the world of customer service today. And as many of you know, the world of customer service has changed dramatically over the last few years, moving from being highly reliant on human capital and large call center teams to being highly automated using AI and portals and knowledge bases. And if you were setting up a company from scratch today, this is exactly how you would do it, right? You'd set up a Power Apps portal. You'd serve up knowledge articles from Dynamics 365. You'd greet your customers with Power Virtual agents and direct them to the resources that they need. And behind the scenes, you'd manage the entire process using omni-channel for customer service as your human agents monitor and engage with your customers as they engage with you across a variety of channels and mediums. However, as compelling as all of this technology is in the field of customer service, many times when you present this to clients or internal customers, you can hear responses like, that's great, but our customers just prefer email. Or our business process requires that we do it this way, or the legal requirements in this area are. And at times like this, it is quite easy to get discouraged. My father's fond of saying, legacy hardware gets put into a museum, whereas legacy software gets put into production each night. I often find myself asking this question every day. Is there a better way to do this? Do things always have to be like this? And what I'm really excited to tell you today is that yes, there is absolutely a better way. No, it does not always have to be like this. Using the Power Platform, you can retrofit some of Microsoft's most compelling technology in the areas of AI and automation into even legacy processes like a traditional email queue. So here's a quick overview of what we're going to be going through in the demo in a few minutes. As I mentioned, we're going to be looking in the field of customer service and specifically at the traditional email queue or shared mailbox in Outlook where agents respond to customer questions. And as per the process, you have an email that's received in the queue. It waits around until an agent can attend to it. And then generally speaking, they're going to be typing out a response, oftentimes the same thing over and over again. Turn it off and on again, update your settings, file a claim, etc. What I've done is I've paired a traditional mailbox in Outlook with Q&A Maker. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with Q&A Maker, this is a knowledge base that's part of Microsoft's Azure suite of cognitive services. And it sits atop the Lewis natural language technology, which means you can populate Q&A Maker with answers and query it using natural language. This is used to power a number of portals and chatbots in customer service sites. So what happens is we receive an email in our mailbox, we send that to Q&A Maker. Q&A Maker suggests an answer, and we send that answer on to the customer. Pretty cool, right? The customer is no longer having to wait for their message to be attended to, and the human agent isn't having to type the same answer repeatedly. But what happens when Q&A Maker hasn't quite got it right? Perhaps it misunderstood the customer, perhaps it doesn't have an answer. We've all seen our fair share of hilarious and embarrassing AI fails. So what I've done is I've set a threshold for the answer coming from Q&A Maker. Each answer that Q&A Maker generates has a confidence score of 1 to 100. One would be that wild guess that you took on a standardized test back in high school, and 100 would be an absolute rock solid certainty. And I've set our threshold level at 90. So if the answer generated by Q&A Maker scores a 90 or above, we're going to go ahead and send that directly to the customer. If, however, the answer falls below that threshold of 90, I'm going to send that to an approvals mechanism within Power Automate. Now, for those of you who haven't used it, Power Automate has a very sophisticated approvals engine, which it makes it very easy to send approvals to other individuals in your organization. In this case, it's myself. And what I'm going to send through is the question the customer asked, the suggested answer from Q&A Maker, and the confidence score. And based on that, I can choose to either approve or reject the answer. If I approve the answer, that's going to go ahead and send the answer proposed by Q&A Maker here to the customer. But then what we're going to do is we're going to call the Q&A Maker API via Power Automate and actually update that Q&A pair with the question that the customer asked. This way, we're building an increased level of questions that can pair with a single answer. So we reduce the number of times that this actually has to come to me for an approval. This becomes self-learning and gets smarter as it's increasingly used. If, however, um, I need to reject the answer, perhaps Q&A Maker suggested the wrong answer, or we don't have an answer in Q&A Maker, I can enter comments into that approval. And once I do that and reject it, that's going to send the new answer that I've entered in the comments to the customer. And then we're going to call that Q&A Maker API once more, and we're going to create a new Q&A pair in Q&A Maker. So this gives us a mechanism to add missing items to our knowledge base over time as that comes up to us in questions that customers are asking. Lastly, if I reject this answer from Q&A Maker and leave the comments blank, we're going to go ahead and create a new case in a service queue in Dynamics 365. So this allows us to account for the instances where the customer may be asking something that's just better handled by a human agent. Before we get into the demo, the quick backstory for what we'll be looking at today, we're going to suppose that we're an insurance company that's providing life, income protection, and trauma insurance, that we have a growing customer base, which is placing increasing demands on our limited contact center staff, and a mix of legal requirements, customer preferences, and legacy systems are delaying the implementation of a smart chatbot and customer portal. So with that said, let's move into our first demo scenario, which is the happy path. This is where an email arrives in the mailbox, Q&A Maker generates an answer, it scores above our threshold of 90, and this automatically sends the answer on to the customer. So we'll quickly move into Outlook here. So we're going to go ahead and send this question to Q&A Maker. So we'll go ahead, send this, and we'll quickly come over. We should see our flow running, and it is. And we can see that we've got a response to the question that we asked. So Q&A Maker has very quickly read, understood our question. It's scored above that threshold of 90, and it sent us a response. Okay, let's move on to our second demo scenario, what I'm calling the in-between path, for lack of a better term. This is where we get a email into Outlook, Q&A Maker reads it, suggests an answer, but it falls below our confidence threshold of 90, and that needs to come to me for an approval. However, the answer is fundamentally right, and so we're going to approve it and then update Q&A Maker. So we'll come back over here to Outlook, and we're going to ask, can I buy a policy from my insurance advisor? So we'll quickly go in here. Send this, come back over, see Power Automate should be running momentarily. That's just started, and we should see get an approval. And we just have had an approval come through to us in Teams. Quick note about approvals. These can come through to you in Microsoft Teams, in Outlook, in the web client for Power Automate, or on mobile. So it's very easy to keep up with these on the go. So we can see this is the question, this is the answer that Q&A Maker has suggested, the confidence score, and the question that I've just asked it. So we're going to go ahead and approve this because even though Q&A Maker isn't 90+% confident, it's still fundamentally the correct answer. And we should, in just a minute, get a response through to our email, and then we'll go and we'll check Q&A Maker and we'll see that that has indeed updated. Okay, our flow's finished running, and we see that we've gotten the answer from Q&A Maker. Let's come over to Q&A Maker, log into our knowledge base. And we'll see that we've updated this Q&A pair with the question that we asked. And you can see that we've added this question. So you can see you can keep this, you can add as many questions to an answer as you like. And as you add more of these, Q&A Maker gets increasingly intelligent. Okay, let's move on to our last two demo scenarios, the quote unquote unhappy path. This is where an email comes into the mailbox, Q&A Maker reads it, suggests an answer, that is either wrong or that doesn't exist within Q&A Maker. And we're going to go ahead and reject that and either enter something new to send to the customer and update Q&A Maker or create a case in a service queue. So we'll go ahead and do that. Okay, we're going to ask, do you offer travel policy cover? So go ahead and send that. This should kick off our Power Automate flow shortly. There, it's running. We should get an approval momentarily. Go in Teams. Okay, so it's saying we offer life income protection and trauma cover. That's actually the wrong answer, and we offer travel policy cover. So let's create a new one. So we're going to say, no, we don't offer travel policy coverage. I'm going to click reject. This is going to send that answer back to me, the customer, but then it's going to update Q&A Maker here with a new question and answer pair. So we'll come back over here. We can see that we've gotten this response from Q&A Maker. And then come back here to Q&A Maker. We'll do a quick refresh. And we can see that we've added a new Q&A pair. So this is a way that we can increase the scope of the coverage of our knowledge base with questions coming in from customers. Okay, let's go on to our last demo scenario. This is where the customer's asked a question, Q&A Maker is going to suggest an answer, but this is something that's better handled by a human. So go ahead and send this in. Our Power Automate flow should start running here momentarily. There we go. And we should very quickly see an approval. There we go. Okay, so again, this is a case where Q&A Maker is just plain wrong, but this is something that we really need to route to a agent. So I'm going to reject this, leaving the comments blank. This is going to, and we should see a case come into Dynamics 365. And we can see we've just created a case with the customer's details and the question. So that's now in a service queue in Dynamics 365 for a human agent to attend to. And we've sent through a notification to the customer with their case number. So that's an overview of how we can use Q&A Maker and pair it with a traditional technology like an email queue and leverage the Power Platform in order to enable us to do that. But there's one more thing that we need to go over. How do we know that we have fundamentally solved the customer's problem? It's all well and good that we can very quickly, within minutes, send an answer to the customer's question without them having to wait around for a human agent to attend to it. It's great that our human agents aren't having to type the same answer repetitively. But if we're not fundamentally solving the customer's problem, we run the risk of increasing work for ourselves through calls and emails from confused and possibly angry customers, or even worse, we risk directing our customers into the arms of a competitor. So you may have noticed in the footer of the email, we have a link to a survey. And what I've done is I've mocked up a very quick Microsoft Forms to ask, did this answer your question, yes or no? And depending on how the customer answers, it does a few things. So we'll just come back over here to my email, and did this answer our question? So let's put in the email address. And if we say, yes, this answered my question, and let's do another one where we say, no, and submit this, this is going to call a different flow in Power Automate. And if we answer yes, this solved our issue, this is going to go ahead and create a case deflection record. Now, if you're using Power Apps portals, this is an out-of-the-box entity that's available to you. If you're not using Power Apps portals, you can very easily create a custom table in the Dataverse, which is what I've done here. And what these let you do is track the effectiveness of this process. It's all well and good that we can deflect deflect cases, but if we have no way of tracking and managing that, it's impossible for us to manage it. So that's what that lets us do. If, however, we answer no, this didn't answer our question, we're going to go ahead and create a case in a service queue in Dynamics 365. So this is how we can close the loop on this process. So if we come back to Dynamics 365, we check our incident deflections, we can see that we've created a new incident deflection record based on that survey response. And we can check and see that we have created a new case based on my survey response saying that I didn't get the help that I need. And you can see that we have dropped a new email to the customer with their case number. So that's how we can close the loop and ensure that this process is in fact helping the customer solve their issue. So that's the demo that I had to show you today. Before we leave, I hope this has inspired you to think about ways that you might be able to use the Power Platform to retrofit some of Microsoft's most compelling AI and automation technology into legacy processes that you have in your business. So thank you so much for your time, and thank you for watching.